Hey everyone, Andy Rafael from eTeknix.com, and today we're looking at the oh so mysterious and oh so dark MSI MEG Z490 Unify. Let's do this.
Behold mortals, wield the power of the gods with the MSI MEG Z490 Godlike. With 1690 amp phases for incredible overclocking capabilities. And featuring dual Thunderbolt 3 ports, 10 GBE LAN with Wi-Fi 6 and a PCIe Gen 4 expander card, you can achieve true enlightenment with the MSI MEG Z490 Godlike.
So before I actually get started with this video, and I do kind of feel like I'm repeating myself because if you've watched any of our other Z490 kind of videos, you'll notice I've said the same thing. We are actually filming this before testing the CPUs, but don't turn off the video just yet because we are going to include all the benchmarks at the end of the video, including overclocking and stuff as well. So definitely stick around for that. But moving on with the board. So this is the MSI MEG Z490 Unify. Unify is actually a pretty new series to the MSI kind of range. They first introduced it, as far as I know, with the X570 Unify. And it basically goes with the whole, giving performance with no distraction. Hence why everything is pretty much as black as you like. So let's talk about pricing to start with. We're looking at around the $300 mark and just under for the British pound. So sort of $294.99. And the thing that you kind of get with the Unify really comes down to performance, features, and just general design. If you don't want any distractions from, lights and things like that, which I kind of understand, but obviously you could always turn that off using Mystic Light software, for instance. But what you actually get is a full stealth black board. Everything looks and kind of oozes quality and premium. And like I say, you do get the features to boot as well. So the only kind of real standout thing beyond the stealth black design is the fact that you get this dragon. But even that is kind of a shiny, glossy, yet black kind of dragon, and it does look very, very nice. There's no RGB on the board whatsoever. Obviously you're going to see like a few little lights here and there, which for the most part I think are actually white, so it doesn't sort of stand out like a sore thumb with bright red or bright green sort of LEDs and things like that. If you do want to kind of jazz things up a little bit, you have got the Rgb connectors on there. So you've got a single 4-pin, personally would have liked to have seen 2, but there are 2 3-pin addressable RGB headers and a Corsair header as well. So, and it comes with all the cables inside the box, so you can basically get rocking and rolling with hubs, LED strips and stuff like that. And I honestly think this board would look amazing if you had some kind of lighting around it, but pure white sort of LED lighting. It would just really sort of shine on it and just, wouldn't look tacky and would carry on that whole premium quality look that the Unify has. Now the CPU socket is pretty uniform in terms of its design. It actually has a 16+1 power phase design using, wait for it, 90 amp phases. So there is a lot of power going through this CPU. So I'm guessing if you're going to be using the i9 10900K and you want to kind of overclock it to its limits, you've definitely got the power there. Now to deliver that power to the CPU socket, we have got 2 8-pin EPS power connectors. Personally, I would have liked to have seen maybe a little bit of shielding on here, just to kind of keep on with that premium look and design, but it hasn't got it. So it's not a deal breaker for me though. Now to keep things nice and cool, they've actually sort of stepped things up a little bit with the Unify. So we have a heatsink at the top and also a larger one at the back, which kind of merges into the rear I/O. And underneath here, there is actually a fan with MSI's, I think it's patented, zero frozer design. So the fan will obviously sort of completely turn off, as far as I know, without any kind of interaction from yourself. If it doesn't need to sort of utilize the fan, then it won't. It's all down to kind of keeping an eye on the temperatures and letting it do its own thing. I don't think it's going to be too noisy, but obviously the only problem when you do have small fans is sometimes they can get a little bit whiny over time. But that's something maybe we can look at in the future. In terms of other cooling on the board, you will notice that there are 3 M.2 Shield Frozer heat sinks on there. 2 of them actually merge into the chipset as well, just kind of, adding to the style and the design of the board without looking too out of place. In terms of memory support, we have support up to 128 gig of 4800 megahertz plus. What's with the plus again every single time? Just say it can, I don't know. I don't actually know a better way of wording it, to be fair. But it would have been nice again to have some shielding on the memory slots. Just again, not so much for the interference and things like that, but more for the design. I would have liked to maybe just had a little bit of bling here and there. Nothing too ostentatious, but just something to kind of break up the stealth a little bit. But That's just a personal kind of decision of my own. For all your storage needs, there's 6 SATA ports, pretty much the same as every Z490 board out there, but you do have 3 M.2 slots, which is pretty nice at this kind of price point. Obviously they have got that M.2 shield frozer design on there, and they do support PCI Express 4.0. In terms of your expansion slots, there are 2 X1 slots. There are also 3 X16 slots, which are all inclusive of that kind of armor plating for, I guess, interference as well as just looking pretty badass. For connectivity options, we do have the usual kind of standard affair. We've got a Type-C Gen 2 connector, we have USB 3.2 Gen 1, USB 2.0, and a nice kind of feature that I do like on this board is the fact that it has the debug LED, power and reset button. So if you are overclocking or, I don't know, just generally troubleshooting, then, you know, everything is on the board ready to go. You haven't got to kind of go around to the rear of the case. You haven't got to, you know, play about with your chassis. It just takes, I guess, some of the stuff out of the equation and lets you focus solely on what you're trying to do. In terms of the audio, it's pretty much where you'd expect it to be. It features the Realtek ALC 1220 codec and has HD 7.1 audio. Nothing really out of the ordinary. Would have maybe been nice at this price point to see something a little bit improved upon that. But I guess for the most kind of majority of consumers out there, it's going to be more than enough. And lastly, looking at the rear I/O, as I mentioned, it is kind of, you know, encompassed and built in to the shield plate, so you haven't got to worry about sort of, you know, installing the motherboard and then realizing you forgot to actually install the I/O shield. Not that I've ever done that before. You also do have the flash BIOS button, the clear CMOS button. There's a PS2 mouse keyboard combo port, a little bit weird. Wouldn't have expected it on a board of this caliber. Personally, I would have maybe liked to see, I don't know, more USBs or something like that. There is no display port, no HDMI or anything like that. So if you are looking at running this with an iGPU setup, yeah, this isn't the board for you. In terms of USB, we do have Type A and Type C Gen 2 ports. We have 3.2 Gen 1. We have basically as many USBs as anyone I think would physically need, especially when you bundle in kind of all the onboard headers as well. It has got 2.5G Ethernet, which all MSI Z490 boards will have. So it's always worth noting that if you maybe can't afford this, there is going to be lower spec boards out there that are still going to have 2.5G internet. It has got Wi-Fi 6AX as well, and gold-plated HD audio connectors and optical SB diff. So there you go. That's pretty much everything for the Z490 Unify. Let me know in the comments section below what you guys think of it, because where they've only released this for X570 and now Z490, you don't really hear too much about the Unify. Personally, I don't know anyone who has one, apart from, obviously, me. So yeah, is it the kind of board you'd go for, or do you prefer something that's a bit more in your face in terms of RGB and stuff like that? With that in mind though, I'm going to leave you with all the overclocking, all the benchmarks, and you can see exactly how this kind of compares and performed against other Z490 boards, not just from MSI, but from Asus and Gigabyte as well. So there you go, and I will see you in the next video. See you later, guys.